Hello everyone, welcome back to our news channel. Students, today we are talking about a lesser known disease that scientists are currently trying to understand. It's called melioidosis, a tongue twister, right? It's even difficult to pronounce. Students, this disease caused by bacteria which lives in soil and water, and this has been making headlines because scientists in Odisha, and I hope you know where is Odisha located. So, scientists in Odisha, what they have done, they have uncovered something surprising about it. Turns out, this disease it follows a pattern peaking during and after the monsoon season. Okay, so what does that mean, and why it actually happens? Moreover, why climate change plays an important role. So, buckle up because we are about to embark on a journey through science, health, and climate to uncover the mystery of melioidosis. Now, before we dive into the Odisha study, let's first understand what melioidosis is and why it's important. Students, melioidosis it's an infection, and this infectious disease caused by a tricky little bacteria, uh, which is called this. All right. Now, you don't, of course, you don't need to remember the name. But what's important is that this bacteria lives in soil. Yes, it lives in soil and water. So, unlike viruses that spread from person to person, this bacteria enters the human body through skin cuts, inhalation, or even drinking contaminated water. Okay, but here's the tricky part, it can cause all sorts of symptoms, which makes it hard to diagnose. Moreover, some people might just get a mild infection, while others could have severe lung infections or even life threatening conditions like sepsis, which is when the infection spreads throughout the body. So, as you can see, it can cause infection and it can cause varied infection. Moreover, in 2016, there was a study conducted on this bacteria, and that study estimated that around 1,65,000 people, and these many people contract melioidosis every year worldwide. Okay, so they contract this disease every year. All right, that's nearly half of them are in South Asia, including India. Question is, why haven't we heard much about it? है ना, हमने इतने टाइम से क्यों नहीं सुना? अगर कोई डिजीज स्प्रेड हो रही होती है तो हम हमेशा न्यूज में आती है और उसके बारे में हमें पता चल जाता है, राइट? तो अभी इस डिजीज के बारे में हमें क्यों नहीं पता चला, क्यों इतना न्यूज में नहीं है? Well, that's because it's often confused with other diseases like tuberculosis or pneumonia, right? तो ये reason है. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening in India, where scientists have discovered something incredible about melioidosis, which follows a seasonal pattern. Okay, so in Odisha, what happened? Researcher at AIMS. Okay, so researcher at AIMS Bhubaneswar and IIT Bhubaneswar decided to study melioidosis more closely, and they tracked 144 cases. Okay, so they tracked 144 cases and of this disease over a period of 9 years from 2015 to 2023. And guess what they found? The disease didn't appear randomly throughout the year. Instead, it peaked during and after the monsoon season. ओके, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कभी भी ये डिजीज हो रही है, जनरली एक पैटर्न फॉलो कर रही है, एंड मॉनसून से मॉनसून के बाद में और ड्यूरिंग मॉनसून इट यूजली पीक्ड. नाउ व्हाई इज दिस इंपॉर्टेंट? बिकॉज द डिजीज, it isn't occurring randomly, and it means that weather conditions, things like rainfall, temperature, humidity, and even sunlight might be influencing the spread of the bacteria. So think about it. During the monsoon, the ground gets wet, river overflow, and there's more standing water everywhere. है ना? आपने बारिश के टाइम पे देखा होगा, सड़कों पे पानी इकट्ठा हो गया है, कीचड़ ही कीचड़ है, राइट? रिवर्स ओवरफ्लो कर रही हैं. तो इसका मतलब क्या है कि लोगों का सॉइल और वाटर में जो मौजूद बैक्टीरिया है उसके कांटेक्ट में आने के चांसेस ज़्यादा हो जाते हैं, राइट? सो दिस मीन्स दैट ड्यूरिंग मॉनसून it could increase the chances of people coming into contact with bacteria in soil and water. But wait, it gets even more interesting. The researchers created a climate based map and found that districts like Cuttack, Balasore, Khordha, and Jajpur were high risk zones for melioidosis. Okay, so they have found that districts like Cuttack, Balasore, Khordha, Jajpur have a high potential for disease occurrence. Why? Because they are densely populated and experience extreme weather condition. So इसका भी एक फैक्टर है, ये भी एक कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं. नाउ व्हाट डज दिस मीन फॉर पब्लिक हेल्थ? अब पब्लिक हेल्थ पर क्या इसका असर होगा? सी, वी हैव सीन हाउ मानसून्स प्ले अ रोल इन मिलियोडोसिस आउटब्रेक, बट देयर इज अ बिगर पिक्चर हियर. What if I told you that climate change could make things even worse? And think about it. Climate change is already causing stronger monsoons, right? And it is also causing, as a result, uh, uh, why it is causing stronger monsoons? Because temperature is rising and there's also unpredictable rainfall. So if weather conditions continue to change, diseases like melioidosis could become more common, and it will spread to new areas or even become harder to control. So that's something we need to think about it. For example, if extreme rainfall events increase, there could be more water contamination, more soil erosion, and more chances of bacteria spreading to humans. ओके, तो जितना ज़्यादा बारिश होगी, एक्सट्रीम रेनफॉल होगी, उतना ज़्यादा क्या होगा? वाटर कंटामिनेशन होगा, उतना ज़्यादा सॉइल इरोजन होगा, और बैक्टीरिया के ह्यूमंस के साथ कांटेक्ट आने के चांसेस भी इंक्रीज होंगे. ओके, and students, it's not just about melioidosis. Scientists are warning, they have warned that other diseases like dengue, malaria, and cholera are also influenced by changing climate patterns. This means we need better tracking systems and climate monitoring to predict how outbreaks they gonna happen, and we need to predict these outbreaks before they become a public health concern. All right, so now let's just talk about how we can protect ourselves from melioidosis, and why research like this is so important. Students, since melioidosis spreads through soil and water, there are simple ways through which people can protect themselves. जैसे हमेशा प्रोटेक्टिव गेयर पहन के रखना. कब? जैसे फार्मर्स और कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर हैं, दे शुड वेयर बूट्स एंड ग्लव्स टू अवॉइड डायरेक्ट कॉन्टैक्ट विद contaminated soil. And whenever there's flooding, drinking safe water reduces the rise of infection. So during monsoon, we have to make sure that we are boiling and filtering water properly before we are drinking it. And covering wounds. If you have cuts or wounds, avoid exposing them to muddy water, क्योंकि आपको नहीं पता वहां पे किस तरह के बैक्टीरिया प्रेजेंट है, and they can enter through those cuts and wounds. And finally, maintaining good hygiene. Washing hands and feet after working outdoors can help reduce the exposure to bacteria. Students, but these are what you can say some individual precautions. And this study highlights the importance of using climate data in public health planning. So government and health agencies, what they can do, they need to monitor weather patterns to predict the outbreak, because now they know that this kind of disease it peaked during and after the monsoon, so they need to monitor weather patterns. Secondly, improving sanitation and drainage, so that uh, there's no contamination of water. Finally, communities they need to be educated in high risk areas about melioidosis. जो गांव में रह रहे हैं, रिमोट एरिया में रह रहे हैं, उनको बताना पड़ेगा कि melioidosis क्या है. So by combining medical research with climate science, we can prevent future outbreaks and protect the vulnerable population. All right, students. So that's all for today. So next time you hear about climate change, remember, it's not just about rising temperature. It also affecting the way diseases spread. तो ऐसा नहीं है, हम अक्सर बात करते हैं climate change के बारे में. Even you can share these points in your essay and speech writing and even in the general discussion. Whenever we think about climate change, we always think कि हाँ temperature rise कर रहा है तो climate change हो रहा है. No, it's not just that. It is also affecting the way diseases are spreading. So I hope today's episode helped you understand how science, health and climate they all are connected. Okay? So stay curious, keep asking questions and we'll see you next time.